speaking. Obviously, we'd like to have a very good and fruitful conversation tonight, so please be respectful and use a mindful tone of voice and language. Be respectful to the other speakers, and please try to keep to your 2-minute limits. There are a fair number of people here tonight, and I know many who would like to speak. Please stay on topic. And tonight's, we have a series of 3 meetings planned at this point. Tonight's meeting is meant to address use of deadly force and profiling in the community by police.
Should I just hold that?
This is, again, very important that, especially the profiling aspect, even though the use of deadly force is
45 minutes.
dramatically important, and we've seen a lot of that in the news lately, that we find out...
Okay, you guys, I'm not going to be able to stream the whole thing.
...originally formatted because of
what time is this over?
I don't know.
Very serious racial profiling accusations and practices with LAPD at the time when it was proposed. Anything I forgot, Francis, Patty?
Not that I can think of. I know that you covered those, but I also, before we get started, wanted to give Vice President Gaspar Rivera an opportunity maybe to also add to that introduction if you wanted to.
Also, I think we forgot roll call.
It is there, right there. All right, I formally call this meeting of the City's Human Relations Commission in order, and I would request that the commissioners state the name of the roll call, beginning with Evelyn, please. Ever keeping an eye on me about my process.
It's my job. Commissioner Evelina Fernandez.
Commissioner Mark Rockwood.
Commissioner Gaspar Rivera Salgado.
Hello. Commissioner Narinan Singh Khalsa.
Commissioner James Hart.
Thank you. Now we are formally called to order. And Francisco.
Right. Like I said before, you called roll. I wanted to give Commissioner Gaspar Rivera Salgado an opportunity.
Thank you, Francisco, and welcome everybody to this official meeting of the Human Relations Commission. I think our goal is very simple. Our goal is to create a space, a community space, where different sectors of our community, representing different constituencies, can come together and imagine a better place to live, a better city. And what an important way to put our minds together, to think about what can be the future. How can we imagine the future of a relationship between the community at large and the Los Angeles Police Department? That's why we have created a series of spaces in which we can talk about this, and we have titled this series of community forums, Healing to Action, a new social contract for community policing. This is a good opportunity to assess everything that has happened since the consent decree, how the community is experiencing the relationship with the Los Angeles Police Department, but also what are the ideas, the creative ideas in which we can better that relationship between the community at large and our police department. And we imagine this as a process where we set up the table, we invite people, and we expect everybody to contribute. To imagine with us a better future for our community, a better future for this relationship with the Los Angeles Police Department.
It's okay, you're fine.
This is done in the context of a lot of pressure. We know that the issue of community intentions with the police department is a topic across the nation. So we want to be very proactive and creative here in the city of Los Angeles to imagine that we can do things better. So this is a good space where we want to be positive, we want to be propositive too. These series of meetings are going to be documented, so we're going to record these proceedings, and we're committed to write a final report with everything, all the information that we gather from these community forums, different focus groups, and we're going to make that report public. So thank you for being here. Thank you for caring about our community, and I look forward to this time.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that statement. Of course, we wanted to get right down to it. But before, Commissioner Khalsa had already gone through the ground rules. I don't think that you guys need me to go through the ground rules yet again. But really wanted to continue sort of on his thread. I know a lot of you in the audience who been engaged in this issue for a very, very long time. Are very passionate about the issues that are before us tonight. I continue just to ask you to remain not only civil in this process, but also positive so that we can get through tonight. A couple of things. The bathrooms,
What he means is if you're angry, don't express it.
Are outside that door to the right. So if you need to use facilities, they're there. And because we're in a city facility, it has to be shut down at 7:45. We have to begin to exit the premises. So we're at that. I know we have a lot of people that want to make public comment, but at the end of the meeting, we're going to have to end it at 7:45. So thank you. Also, one last reminder about cell phone use. Can you please put your cell phone now on silent or on vibrate, so that I know these phones they say are smart, but sometimes they act stupid in public meetings. So,
What is this bill for?
Yes, sir. Beginning with Francisco Ortega.
Thank you so much.
Patricia, our executive director, Patricia Villasenor. In the back is Joanna Silva, Farrah Parker, and who else? We have?
Sheldon.
Sheldon's back there? Great. Good to see you, Sheldon.
Just got in. Thank you.
So thank you very much. They work very, very hard on behalf of the community to do what they do. It's just a lot.
So we have several hours. A couple hours that we're going to devote to each question for tonight. And the first question that we wanted to
Went it that way? Oh, duh.
ask the public, and we have a list. I have the list here, Commissioner Calza. Would you like to call folks up, or would you like me to do it?
Yeah,
I don't mind.
and we also wanted to thank Councilmember Fern Price for all the efforts they put into this work.
Get everybody sit back down.
All right, Kim McGill, would you like to please come forward?
Can you frame the first question? I'm sorry, Commissioner Calza, can you frame number 2 where we're beginning our conversation tonight? That's under the use of force, right?
It takes a village to live stream. Oh, the service is probably better here.
Use of force continues to drive a wedge between the department and those who are hired to serve.
Used to?
What types of protocols can we integrate that will simultaneously allow police to do their jobs, protect the rights of citizens at the same time?
How about not kill people?
So yeah, now we have this.
Right.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. We think it's long overdue that LA City has hearings on the use of force resulting in homicide in LA, which we think is the most egregious of all the actions by police, obviously taking people's lives. As too many people know, now LA County is number 1 across the nation, and LA City leads LA County in the use of force resulting in homicide. When we first put out the data in August based on the coroner's reports, we were even shocked. At that point, it was in the high 500s, and now 626 people have been killed in LA County by law enforcement since 2000. So as Youth Justice Coalition members, all of whom have been through the system when we were young, many of us also went through the system as we were older, as adults. That means we've been detained, incarcerated, some people deported, some people come home from state prison and federal prison. We have a lot of experience with one-on-one contact with law enforcement. And these are our recommendations, which really, to be honest, are demands. Because we know that for the next generation, and even for our own survival, if these are not met, we'll continue to lose way too many lives. So number 1, we have to address police violence at its root. It can't be about a few bad apples. It has to be real cultural change and real community oversight of policing. This means that we have to expose the data about LA City's police violence problem. In addition to the use of force that we highlighted for you, we gave out the statistics that we found that were particularly disturbing. That LA City is only 9% African American, and LA County similarly. But 28% of the people being killed by law enforcement are black. That 47% of the county is Latino, but 53% of the people being killed by law enforcement are Latino. That people being killed are overwhelmingly young people. That people that have housing issues, that have mental health issues, are regularly criminalized. And we recently had a march on downtown where people decorated 617, at that time it was 617 coffins. We can't even keep the statistics up because deaths are happening every week. And so these are some of those coffins because we want to remember that these aren't just lives, these are real people with families, with relationships, and with loved ones that are left behind. So that leads me to demand number 2, that we pass a family rights platform for young people and their families who have loved ones that have been killed or severely injured by law enforcement. That means they have a right to burial expenses, a right to trauma-informed care, a right to mental health, all of which is denied them when they're seen not as victims because it's not a community killing.
2 minutes up, I'm sorry.
We think that, just in closing, it's very frustrating to come with data and with real-life stories month after month to the police commission, month after month to human relations commissions, and never be seen as experts. Watch law enforcement get 30 minutes to present their case, and community have to try to present our cases in 2 minutes when we have real solutions and real data that's worth exploring. Not just worth exploring, but if we don't explore it, if we don't implement it, we'll continue to lose real lives.
Black in the door. 30 black in the door.
Wayne Smith, please.
Mr. Smith? No. Remind everyone that I know we went over a little bit with Kim, but 2 minutes.
They care so much about the community, but there's not enough seats for half of the people here.
I'm Dewan Smith, a youth and community organizer from Youth Justice Coalition. I was beat by the Compton sheriffs in 2006, kicked in the back, hogtied, and thrown sideways in the backseat of a police car. This event happened when I was 16. One major reason why I fight for youth justice, and I continue to fight to end police terrorism and fight against mass incarceration. As I grew in my work, I discovered that youth in LA had similar experience and encounters with LAPD and have even expressed to me that they feel bullied by LAPD
Back here.
and fear the police more than terrorist attacks or disease broadcasted by media. Kim touched on it about the family rights. I think that should be really looked at and implemented, about just the cost of burial funds, of losing your child and have to come up with or do a car wash just to get the kid buried. That's not looking out for your community, and it's not being all inclusive. It's very biased. It's not transparent. I think the family deserves those rights and deserve that funding, and I think that it should be very looked at. You can contact us at Youth Justice Coalition, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you. I'm going to call actually 3 at a time now, so that people can be behind the podium, so we lose less time and more people be able to speak, having people get up every time we call in. Robert Griselle, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing it. Crisle. Tud Hayes and Alona Bonilla. Thank you, sir. Go ahead, please. Yes.
All right, hello, my name is Robert Cristo. I'm an organizer of the Youth Justice Coalition. And racial profiling has been a systematic problem with the LAPD since their inception. I read the report for the Rodney King scandal and saw that racial profiling was a major issue within the police department. Later on, I read the report on the Rampart scandal and found out that issue's problematic status had not changed. I experienced this myself. I remember when I had finished taking the AP US history test in high school, just fresh out of high school, walking to the bus stop, I got stopped by an LAPD officer. I had my AP packet in my hand. He didn't care. He wanted to know where I was going and what I was doing, regardless of where it actually came from. The LAPD in their use of racial profiling doesn't assess what these people are doing, what these people are about, and what they're thinking. They only assess the criminality based on the color of people's skin, their orientation, how they look, or how they might even possibly think. Racial profiling is an issue in the LAPD. It needs to be rectified because if you look at the racial profiling and you look at the data and the statistics of those killed by police violence, they kind of go together. I think you guys would agree if you checked out the data that the Youth Justice Coalition has provided. With 625 people killed by law enforcement, most of those being youth of color, change is needed. So I recommend that you guys listen to the Youth Justice Coalition demands that many organizations here are putting out because they mean something. Because right now, 626 people are dead. I don't know what that number will be next week. I don't know what that number will be in the month, but it's going up. Thank you.
The only thing you see, you're being lied to. The chief of police can't fire an officer. Now I'm moving away. Thank you. The police commission can't fire an officer. That didn't
Who are you
say anyone else. Only what they call the board of rights.
I'm sorry, can I ask you to face, we actually are gathering the information from you. If you could face us while you speak.
Sure.
I apologize.
That's wrong. I read some of those items sometimes. Anyway, the board of rights is what fires an officer. Remember Officer John, who was killing police officers? And he claimed he didn't have to proper board review. And you missed it. Because when there was searching for guns, they shot up a man that was delivering newspapers to a lady who was we did not protest. We did not show our anger. She was no threat. She was no demon. And they shot up the man. Unfortunately, those two ladies managed to survive that shooting. But we should have come out and protested that. Now, to tell you the fact that only the Board of Rights can actually fire an officer. If the officer wants to kill him, they fire by the chief of police or the police commissioner. I think the folks should be on some clarity on the Board of Rights. Most people don't know what it's all about. It's not an open session. You can't go attend it like you attend at a regular trial. Two senior officers, captain, above, and one civilian. Civilian came there later on. And they're the ones who make the final decision. But the police department, rank and file, they don't trust the Board of Rights. Because they're responsible to the chief of police. Okay? So you think that these guys with the stars and bars are going to go against their boss? It's a very delicate situation. Now they rotate these command officers. They don't keep the same people there. You ought to get adjudicated.
Sir? Oh, we have read the bond act.
Well, you have to have a clock. The police commission has a clock. The city council has a clock. Get a clock. Maybe you should collect some funds to do that. Anyway, so pay attention to the Board of Rights. Let us know in detail about the Board of Rights so we know just how police officers are handled in this city.
Thank you.
My name is Alani, and I have been victimized by an officer, and firsthand knowing the experience of what it's like to just try to challenge this, to try to go in and face officers who are intimidating, trying to, as a woman, as a young woman, the intimidation that comes with just trying to challenge the status quo. And
Ask them for
it's very difficult.
the people at the table if you want to speak. Do I have a card for you to fill out?
What ends up happening is they incriminate the victim to justify their
Just do it, it feels good.
We can't let this go.
Just do it.
Knowing that
Tell
they're
them off
still
their
under
faces.
control. We challenge the status quo, but the courts protect their own. And where do
It's
we
even more fun
complain?
when it's the chief of
To the
police.
same organization that abuses us?
It's even more fun to tell
Like
the
a
chief
game.
of police. But
These players have no shame.
But
They
that's
cover
Tuesday
their
mornings.
tracks. They got each other's backs.
Yeah.
It's not about the facts. It's about where you're at, what you know. Let's say there's something wrong with that. I am now a math and science teacher, and a lot of the students that I teach were invited to come here tonight. Out of the 10 people that had raised their hands saying that they have been stopped and racially profiled, only 2 were able to write down their testimony. They were scared of intimidation, scared of, when we talk about healing, this is not healing to them. To have to continue to, or to have to face people that have no power, and just talk, be able to share their testimony, something that we deal with every day. So we do have 2 written testimonies that people will read because they are not here. They're remaining anonymous. So I hope you could pay attention to that people are not finding this as a healing space.
Thank you very much.
I also make a I know that we're here to hear, to listen to everyone, and thank you for that story and for your testimony. We would also encourage the audience to be part of this effort, part of as we move forward and we develop recommendations to the mayor and to council and to different entities for the city, is that we also want to hear from you in terms of solutions, in terms of what you think would be viable ways to move forward with this. We know that there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of pain. We've heard it, and we're hearing it tonight from you. Right, and so we want to,
Your time is up.
Gun or pepper spray? Easy choice. Come on now.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to just make that statement so that I think we can report that.
All right, I would like to call up Dr. Reyes Sumi, Jerry Dietrich, and Francisco Martinez.
My name is Francisco Martinez. I am with the Youth Justice Coalition. Well, I'm here to talk about racial profiling, which has become an epidemic in my community. Just because the way I look, I get stopped numerous times. And I see this in my community many times to other people that's happening to them, and it's still happening to them. I was surprised that nothing to get stopped on my way over here. If I could count how many times I've got stopped, I'll be able to pay my rent months in advance. That's to tell you how many times I've got stopped. And I'm wanting to say that I hear knowledge is power, right? So what are we teaching the youth right here? That if just because the way you look, a certain way you act, or a certain way you just get tattoos, you're automatically should be able to stop and get arrested. Just by being up here, it is kind of it's hard to say my experiences and my testimony, and just to have people be encouraged, like have the courage to come up here. It's tough, and to even talk about this is tough. Like I said, I've been stopped numerous times. And all those times I could tell you that I've never been treated with respect, with no disregard for where I'm coming from. I could be coming from a friend from school, and the first thing they ask is, "What are you doing? Where you coming from? What are you gonna do? Who you kicking with? Where you from? And what are your tattoos for being?" I would ask for one day at least to be stopped by an officer and say, "Hey, sir," or "Hey, young man, how you doing? Are you having a good day? Anything I can help you with today? Do you need a ride to school?"
I do actually.
I can tell you this one time that this happened to me. Like I said, I've never been treated with respect. Even like I told every officer that I've been stopped with, I'm from nowhere. Just because I look a certain way to me, I'm from somewhere. And just because he thought or he assumed I'm from somewhere, I was talking to so closely to a rival with him and left right there and walked home from like 20 blocks or 10. I can't even count, but it was long. It was for me for like forever. In the middle of it, like 3 in the morning, probably, and sitting walking in the cold, not knowing what could have happened to me. Just what he did to me right there, something could have happened to me instead when I was like a block away from my house. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
I'm a human rights activist, and I completely support the voices of the Youth Justice Coalition. They are the human voice. The police, the affluent, white, and even Asian, the middle and upper class community, very differently than how they police the black, the brown, the skid row, ghetto. I'm with the LA Community Action Center and Southland LA Spine Coalition. Community policing is all the community having control over it. Not the police working with conservative, very affluent, or comfortable members of the community that criminalize the youth, the poor, the homeless. who are all part of the human family with civil and human rights. Community policing means the LAPD and the Mayor and Human Rights Human Relations Commission should do all in their power to support that they stop the Safer City initiative in Skid Row, which criminalizes the homeless. It's all based on Bratton's broken window policy of making criminals of misdemeanor charges. And the three strikes, there's a lot of, even a lot of drug addiction, which other people brought into the community. They are nonviolent crime. And, let's see. I asked the Human Relations Commission to have an open hearing for Skid Row, to hear the voices of the Skid Row poor, homeless, and residents there directly and in person, and not filtered and slanted through the mass corporate media.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And could I ask Jamie Garcia and Holly Farley?
My name is Gary DiCurcio, and I'm not going to say a whole lot because you guys already know my opinion. I'm with the Stop Spine Coalition, and I've talked to numerous times. I just wanted to, and I wanted to give my time to victims of LAPD. I am not there. But I wanted to say that the one thing that I read in this handout is that about the LAPD's bias policing complaint form. I mean, for one thing, they find 86.6% of the complaints unbiased, and there's no reason for it. And when the victim is supposed to talk to the officer itself, which is unbelievable to me. I mean, I don't understand it, how they can learn, and I don't have any solutions for them, but I know that there's out there because they've done other things and they've got to make this, because this thing is messed up.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Jamie. So in order for us to have a meaningful conversation on what healing means and what actions are required, we need to examine what are the conditions and actions of the Los Angeles Police Department that cause injury, trauma, death, and many other forms of emotional and physical harm that impact our communities at the hand of LAPD. Yet these actions remain masked in the narrative of community policing. The new LAPD, a model the rest of the country should strive for. And that's where the real problem lies. The illusion of the term community policing in itself needs to be critically examined and methodically unpacked and debunked. As defined by the Department of Justice, community policing has three key components: community partnership, organizational transformation, and problem solving. Right now I'll unpack community partnership. So, community partnership in reality, tactics and operations mean massive surveillance of communities, where daily innocent behavior is criminalized, where every movement is watched, where every action is taken is traced and tracked. We have suspicious activity reporting. We have automatic license plate readers. We have stingray technologies. When we're in protest, we have freedom on the move that is that's tracking our faces. So these kinds of things are very violent ways to engage with the community, as if they have the right to engage with the community this way when no supposed crimes are being committed. Is this community partnership? Let us look at the Safer Cities initiative, where the sole purpose is mass displacement of poor and unhoused people by attrition through enforcement of municipal codes in the most heavy-handed and extremely disproportionate way, issuing thousands of jaywalking tickets, turning already a dire economic situation for many into a criminalized existence due to the inability to pay heavy fines. Is this community partnership? Let us look at gang injunctions, where instead of investing in our youth, the starting point is massive criminalization and heavy-handed exclusion of youth from daily activities, including family get-togethers. Is this community partnership? We say no. These are tactics of social control. Thank you.
And Nadia, I apologize, I can't read the command. Please.
Hi.
Before I start, I just want to say that we've created a fact sheet.
Thank you.
On bias policing and a number of those to show how racial profiling is going on. I I'm going to pick up where my colleague Jamie Garcia left, and I'll speak a little bit about the organizational transformation piece of it. But before I say that, I just want to say that day after day, week after week, year after year, we see and hear reports of police violence, including verbal abuse, threats, intimidation, shoving, pushing, detaining, falsely arresting, sexually molesting, beating, and murders. These are facts of daily lived experiences in many communities, yet this remains vastly inherited of community policing. So let's talk about organizational transformation, which in reality means that the Guardian newspaper just started looking at police murders in the United States in 2015. And as of June 2nd, yesterday, 470 people have already been killed by law enforcement this year. California has the highest number, 74, and the city of Los Angeles has 10, the highest number of any city in the United States. Is this a transformed organization?
We're number one.
Well, then let's look at another piece. One would think that federal oversight, and President also spoke about the consent decree, that federal oversight of the Department of Justice consent decree would instill a bit of shame and lead to at least a little bit of cleaning up. And while there's all this chest pumping by the men in blue about the new LAPD since the lifting of the consent decree in May 2013, the truth is that in April 2014, LA Times revealed that over the previous couple of years, LAPD officers intentionally sabotaged 92 out of 300 patrol cars by targeting their antennas linked to the in-car video and voice monitoring devices. These monitoring devices were installed in these patrol cars with much hoopla, claiming that these devices would monitor conduct. What is even more telling is that all this was done while under federal oversight, and these devices being presented to the federal judge as one key way to monitor officer conduct. Is this what organizational transformation look like? We say no. LAPD operates with complete impunity. Briefly finish up, let's look at problem solving. In reality means one way LAPD has been claiming itself as a model police force is by touting its understanding and response to people with mental health conditions. Several incidents, including the killing of Charlie Africa and Carlos Ocanio in the Skid Row community, shows a different picture. Both had known mental health conditions, yet when LAPD was faced with putting their community policing skills to test, they murdered both of these individuals. Carlos Ocanio was tasered to death, and Charlie Africa was shot 5 times. Two, just by virtue of participating in this forum, goes to show that we have no trust in the LAPD, we have no trust in the LA Police Commission, which is a rubber stamp body that we and many communities in Los Angeles have approached repeatedly with concern and complaints, yet the Commission turns a blind eye. So we say no, LAPD is incapable of solving problems. And lastly, I want to say that in short, while these components of community partnership, organizational transformation, and problem solving look good on paper and go a long way in LAPD's PR campaign, the reality is that LAPD remains a hyper-militarized surveillance apparatus. Our two last demands are that we cannot move forward unless LAPD comes out clean, unless there is full disclosure of all of these programs, and that has to happen publicly. We have filed Public Records Act, we filed Freedom of Information, LAPD keeps on hiding these things because we cannot move forward. We're asking for demands. Our big demand is that tell us what you do. Fully disclosed to the public, where is the money going? You got $800 million just on the urban area security initiative. You got over 55.
Thank you, Hamid.
So they have to come on. Thank you.
You know you go to sign up to speak?
I have no idea.
You know where you sign up to speak?
I can't hear you.
Really want to know what I know.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
I'd like to submit some comments. I just wanted to make sure that you can see it. Unity, and if some folks can help me, some of the words that you hear, these are safety, God,
Freedom, family.
life, belonging, and on. There's 8 spaces for this, but community means a whole lot of things to a lot of people. And next, I made an art piece that says, we are discussing state community policing in the same room, and there is community and police presence. And this space is the space of dialogue and sharing. What we mean by both of these words that carry a whole lot, I'll read some of the things that the community thought that police representatives have. Brutality, racism, violence, murder, violence, intimidation, trauma.
Yes.
For 8 strong words to represent how we feel.
in our community.
Yes, can we move it to the side, please? Thank you.
Thank you for the space and opportunity to share art and work.
Well, I think that spoke a little bit for itself, but these two are not the same. And the solutions are all here in this room. They're all here. We need to really know how to hear and listen to what is being said here. The solutions are structural and systemic. The way this space is set up right here, right now, is showing part of the problem.
Yep.
There are guns in the room. There are guns in the room. That means there's potential for violence. There are batons in the room. There's potential for brutality. The way we are facing you, it looks just the same as the Human Relations Commission when we go up and we're still facing each other like this and I have my back to my community. The solutions are structural. They're only going to get fixed if we have structural, systemic change. The imagining portion you were inviting us to do, we need to imagine a world where police are irrelevant. They don't need to exist in this community. It's going to take a lot of work, and I invite the police to imagine yourself in another position in this world right here, right now, and all of us, to imagine ourselves, what would it look like if we did not have prisons? I speak on behalf of my brother who is incarcerated, who when he commits brutality or violence like we all, each of us here have and hold in our bodies, his brown Palestinian Mexican body is going to receive violence systemically differently than when a police officer who's brown, also maybe similar body, commits brutality. He will get excused. She or he will get excused because it's part of the system's role to oppress us. We need to change systemically. These two are in the same room right here, right now, but they're not the same when we wear that uniform and it's armed. It's not, the power difference is what we need to talk about. There's power that we need to shift if we really want change. It's going to take a lot of creativity and imagining, so I really pray that you all and all of us get it together. We have more opportunity and more hearings to actually change the structure, and as these hearings progress, those changes need to be seen even in these same spaces if we want real change in LA and beyond. Thank you.
And Avon Williams, please step up.
Could you not block me, please? You're blocking the door now.
Mariela was saying, and also I just to point out that the reason this room is even full is not because the city really did a lot of outreach. There was a lot of different community members tirelessly working to make sure the word got spread. So I think that's one thing right off the bat, that these spaces clearly, and look, it's so full, not everyone can even sit. So one recommendation is actually really do full-on outreach and actually have a much bigger space for people to sit. The other thing is, let's look at use of force. Right now, you even said, Naranjan, that deadly force, killing. But force looks like many things. It looks like harassment. It looks like stalking. It looks like threats. It looks like police telling people to shut the F up. All these things are force. When somebody is forcefully removed from their family. I had a student who was going to give a testimony. Now, I'm not sure why she didn't make it. Who knows, right? Maybe for retaliation. But her experience is of LAPD pulling her over immediately. She'll be walking, they're saying, put your hands up. She immediately puts her hands up, take off your hood. Oh, you're a girl. See, to me, that is use of force. We cannot look at just the deadly use of force. Even some statistics from 2008 to 2010, the use of deadly force, 95% of those were in policy. You really think that all of those unarmed people, it was in policy to kill them? How about Usman Chaudhry? 4 in the morning, he was laying in front of, sleeping, and he was killed, and then evidence was planted on him. All of those levels of use of force that was used on him. So one, expand your concept of use of force. And 2, have some institutional accountability. How is it that of the non-lethal use of force, over 99% were considered in policy? Why are we allowing police officers to lie? Why is the institution allowing police officers to lie? So increase accountability. When a civilian does these kinds of things, if a civilian was to go and shoot someone sleeping on the street, they would be arrested and held accountable very quickly. So we need to see how are we holding police accountable. The last thing, don't claim community partnership. Because time and time again, the police commission says, oh, we talk with ACLU, oh, we work with them. Well, guess what? The Muslim Public Affairs Council, ACLU, these big organizations do not speak for the community. They are just as wealthy and have just as much funding. They are for militarized presence. They are for the police. They honor people like Mike Downing who have caused such destruction and death in our communities. So do not allow them to speak for the community. Hold officers accountable and actually do proper outreach to the community, because we all made this happen, not the city.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Zavon from the Youth Justice Coalition. Instead of having quote-unquote community policing, we should have peace builders, which would be people here from our neighborhood who are familiar with each other, who know the issues that are going on in our community, and aren't intimidated by police. We can solve things together. And I would also like to say that those people should be people who are affected by police issues. People, family members, like I know a lot of mothers who have had their sons killed by the police, been verbally and physically abused by them. Those are the people who should be those people monitoring. And in all, let's not forget and dehumanize the people who are incarcerated, people who have been in solitary confinement, such as myself. When I was incarcerated in Los Angeles County Jail, I was placed in solitary confinement for a reason that was not even my fault. I have epilepsy and I had seizures. My cellmates seen me shaking and spitting. I'm not sure if they knew exactly what was going on, but they knew something was wrong. They called the officers. They didn't believe me, and I ended up getting placed in solitary confinement. And they still were not giving me the proper amount of medicine, and sometimes ignored me, and I kept having seizures in there. It is time for the community to take leadership of where we're at. Thank you.
Come forward, please, and Mr. and Ms. Dogan, I apologize.
Good evening. My name is Jyoti Chand, and I'm a member of South LAPD Spine Coalition, and also I'm a resident of Baldwin Hills in Los Angeles. I think the first part, again, for us to examine is, these words together, community and policing. LAPD is pushing this language of community policing while it's constantly torturing us, killing us, murdering us, and continuing to militarize. So I think we really have to take a step back and not put these words together. We know right now in Los Angeles, the community members, people that are marginalized, that are abused, that have no resources, because LAPD gets, most of the city's unrestricted budget, I think over 53%. The people that don't have the resources, the people that are being brutalized, are not the same as the police. So I would ask that a solution is that LAPD please stop the lies and stop pushing forth this language of community policing. I want to actually talk a little bit about the work that I do. I currently work at a domestic violence sexual assault crisis center, and actually Niranjan and Gaspar, I've known you for, I think it's been about 10, 12 years. I've worked with victims of hate crimes, victims of police abuse, victims of discrimination, people that have been really targeted by the state. I know that when I work, currently in my job with a domestic violence victim, it is not the matter that they're shot and they're dead. It's the matter when they are verbally abused, when they're tortured, when they're intimidated, when they're followed, when their rights are violated, when their paperwork is being taken away. I myself have gone through the immigration system of this country. When I was in Ninth Circuit Court in removal proceedings, it wasn't to that moment, right? But it was actually the first day that I stepped foot in this country where I was constantly reminded that I'm not wanted. There's a certain level of violence that I suffered since I was 7 years old in this country. So it wasn't being in an immigration court about to be deported. When I've been pulled over by a police officer, it's not just that end fear of being shot dead or am I going to be molested, right? It's all the verbal abuse, the way that they look at you, all of that is the use of force. And, here when we say how do you end violence, there's a whole spectrum of violence. And, what are the solutions? We have to be honest about what actually happens in the streets. And what is LAPD doing?
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is General Dogan, and I'm a human rights defender on Skid Row with the Los Angeles Community Action Network. And for the past 10 years, one of my job responsibilities has been to be as a point man on our community watch team.
where we go out and watch basically cops from the second season this season. I have been on hundreds of incidents. And since 2006, I've filed over 92 racial profiling complaints against LAPD. And every last one of them was denied. Shortly after my complaints were denied, I remember Andre Brody, who was then the Inspector General of LA, released his report where out of 360 racial profiling complaints that was filed against LAPD, they denied every last one of them. So his 360 and my 90 is 450. I don't think it's a person in this room that will believe that out of 450 racial profiling complaints filed against LAPD, that not one of them was credible. That they had justification to deny every last one of them. So I don't have questions, I have demands. So my first demand is one, to reinstate racial profiling as a category of complaint. Two, hire outside independent investigator to investigate these complaints. And three, stop using the damn word community policing, because LAPD don't give a damn about the black community. Thank you.
Say that again.
Look at her not clapping.
Robert Rubin, please step up.
Pete White, Los Angeles Community Action Network. Just looking at the title of tonight's hearing, forum, session, whatever we're sitting in, from healing to action, is very misleading. To heal, you have to remove the disease from your body or from your community that's creating the pain, that's causing the pain. We understand that racial profiling is the gateway to violence. It's the gateway to abuse in our communities. Ask the family of Ezell Ford, walking down the street on 65th and Broadway, racially profiled, subsequently murdered. Ask the family of Stephen Eugene Washington, autistic young man, walking down in Koreatown with his headphones on. The police pulled up on him, shot him while they sat in their police car. The family was granted $900,000, which is a penny to a person's life. The police department, the two officers who were guilty, subsequently were awarded $2.1 million because they felt they were discriminated against. And so what that tells us is the system and the institution continues to reward our murder, continues to reward our abuse. So if you want to be of help, of support, I demand that you demand the Bill of Rights for the police officers be changed. That's your recommendation. That there's charter reform for the police department so we can begin to disrupt a system that was built in the late 1800s that started as slave catchers. As a black man, that has a particular sort of gnawing at me. They enforced Jim Crow, they enforced the black codes, they enforced segregation. This is what Chief Bratton says. There were union busters for the Latinos in the room. They were the enforcers of Operation Mojado. Counterintelligence, now segregating through gentrification, counterintelligence, and insurgency. And so I say that history lesson, and bringing it up to today, that their form and function has been the same from the gate. And it's only when we structurally disrupt, and if you're serious about your role, structurally disrupt what they're doing, that this changes. If you are not serious about your role, we can all go home.
Good evening, my name is Abraham Palunga. I'm a peace builder and organizer with Youth Justice Coalition. So I got a piece right here from one of our students. I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. I choose to keep my name anonymous and fear retaliation. I was a landscaper for Campus Landscaping. On Tuesday morning of November of last year, 2014, around 6 a.m., I arrived at my house in Venice in Hacienda Club. My cousin and I started work like any other day. I was cutting bushes while my cousin was picking up plants. About 4 hours later, 4 patrol vehicles arrived at the home. Without warning, officers got out their vehicles and 3 officers approached my partner. I turned to witness an approach being thrown against the fence. One officer then approached me and grabbed me from behind by the neck and pulled me to the ground. I hit the back of my head on the ground and lifted it up. Once on the ground, the officer got assistance from his partners to turn me around and shoved my head to the grass, where I busted my lip. I was handcuffed and placed in the patrol vehicle for 2 hours. During this time, the officers kept us until they verified that we were landscapers. Then we were able to get back to work as if nothing happened. Thank you.
Brother Macapone, Marcus Higgins, Dorothy Herrera Settlage, and Yolanda Gonzalez, please step up. Thank you, sir. Please.
I've heard a lot of complaints, and you've heard a lot of complaints. What are our next steps, and what are the actions that we can take in order to change this system? On one hand, I have a nephew who was murdered by another black man. I was glad that he was caught by the police. On the other hand, you have a police officer who may kill another black man. My question would be to this panel to find out and look at the profile of the officers on the street. Are they grown out of our community? Do they know us? Do they live among us? I can look in the room and I can tell you who is a police officer. I think most of you can. We need to have some concrete ways to support all of the efforts that have been said here today, including an independent review board to deal with any issues of police crimes against citizens. It's a shame that we have to sit here and have these conversations year after year after year and don't see the change. I don't know what I could say that would change your mindsets or the police department's mindset on how to cure the pain that we feel when unarmed citizens are being murdered, killed, shot, for whatever reason. And then on the other hand, I have other associates and friends that are dying black on black, brown on brown crimes in the community as well. We work and live in 90044. I am glad that you came to 90044 to have this conversation. When you leave, think about it. Go back, put some policies in place that will give us a voice to be able to address the assaults, the murders, and things that might happen from the hand of Los Angeles Police Department. There are some good officers out there, and you may disagree with me, but some of my friends are police officers. All right? I have relatives and friends that are probation officers and police officers, and never once have they pulled a weapon on anybody. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm here to speak on behalf of my community, my people. I'm here to tell the truth. The truth is the real issue. We never get to the bottom of it because everyone talks about policing, brutality, profiling, but that's not the real issue. The real issue is white supremacy. Say that. Say that. Everybody in here seems to agree with me. I haven't personally shook hands with half the people in the room. I've never seen some of these people before. But somehow they agree with me. The real issue is white supremacy. The real question is, how do anybody on the board who has anything to do with the police commission, with the police department, how do you get rid of it? Not washed under the rug, not changed to a new uniform. How do you get rid of it? It's bleeding my community. It's bleeding my people. Sometimes we get together in public and talk about it. They show up in riot gear for a conversation. How many people saw riot gear for the biker shootout? White supremacy. Get rid of it.
Just watch who doesn't clap.
Good evening, gentlemen, commissioners. I'm glad we are having this meeting. I go back all the way to 1994 as a property owner. For the record, my name is Yolanda Gonzalez. I am a naturalized citizen. I came to this country for freedom and because I believe in a rule of law. First, we want to find solutions. And I go back all the way when District Attorney Garcetti we went through the gang injunctions, which I was very much in favor. I was one of them that had to get them in place because 4 kids were killed in front of my property in Heights. I go back
all the way with the Human Relations Department in defense of their existence and also in the defense of the police department, because if it wouldn't have been for them, I would have been a victim of a shot. We have something that we need to find a solution. When we had the Rampart issue, we got the consulates together to put together a civic participation by the communities where those people that now exceed came together to understand that there are laws in place in this country. We had an assistance of over 600 people, and we had community members come together to explain to them that there was a behavior in which you had to abide by in this country. That was the best program we ever had. Second, God don't pay my bills, God don't pay my tragedies. We have over 40 non-solved cases of victims by gang members, by community activists that portray to know what they're doing, know what they're saying, and all they do is go out there and put the public at arms.
Thank you.
Dorothy Barrera Settlage. Am I pronouncing the last name wrong?
I'm surprised she got so many claps.
Okay, Mariana Saba, Bella De Soto, and Telmi Perez. Please step forward.
Thank you for the space to speak again. I wasn't expecting that, but here I am again, so thank you for calling me.
I guess we had 2 speaker cards for you.
I don't know where that other speaker card came. There have been tricky things happening in the space. Well, I got to speak earlier, and I'm still on the same page, still on the same point. We need systemic change. I think we need to pay attention to all the real testimonies that are happening here, the healing that needs to happen. Let's see, I'm wondering, I'm taking the space, thank you.
First time I seen you without words.
Well, this is, I'm taking advantage of being called up, so. I think I'm just thinking about the point around bias policing, when that's the